Hey YouTubers, Greg the Muskoka Painter here, and today we're going to show you how to spackle and caulk your MDF trim. So the spackling process is pretty straightforward, but as you start to fill the holes with your putty knife, you may discover nails that are protruding above the surface of your material, and in which case you have to take your nail set or nail punch, if you prefer to call it that, and a common hammer. And then you want to make sure the nail is buried below the surface of your material, and then you can proceed. So as you can see, as I was spackling this area, I discovered this nail was sticking through the MDF, so I need to set that with my nail set and a regular hammer, of course. You just place the nail set like so. A couple of quick taps, and now the nail is below the surface, ready to spackle. Another situation you may encounter, especially when you're working with MDF trim, is that where the nail enters, it pushes the MDF material again above the surface, the flush surface of the trim. And in which case you can take your putty knife and knock it down to size. I'll show you how we do that. So as you can see, the carpenter in this case had trouble finding a secure point to drive his nail, but in the process he's pushed this material out and beyond the surface. So what we want to do is take our putty knife and just knock it down to size, like so. So as I mentioned, the spackling process is pretty straightforward. Just dip in your putty knife, take a little spackle out, push it into the area that you want to fill, and then smooth it off. And you can even leave a little bit of build-up because the product tends to shrink back in. If you leave a little bit of build-up, you can smooth it and it'll be perfectly flat. That was a demonstration of how to knock off the high spots on MDF and then fill. But then you might be asking, well, that's okay on a flat area, but what about on my trim profiles? Well, let's deal with that right now. So you can see that I couldn't exactly take my putty knife and scrape away to knock these down because of the shape of the profile. So in that case, we just take our sandpaper and sand it down to the exact shape of the trim. So those holes didn't get filled in, they just filled with dust, but it's nice and smooth now and we can spackle them. We're focusing on the trim today, but as we're working our way around the room, you might discover some really bad dings in the drywall. And this is a good time to address the bigger dents in the drywall, since you have your spackle and your putty knife anyway. I usually like to do the finer details after the first color coat goes on. But I just noticed a really large hole in the drywall and I want to fix it. So as you can see, this dent is bigger than my fingertip, so we may as well start to fill it up now. It's probably going to take 2 or 3 times to get it smooth. So how do we fix it? Well, we can take the back side of our putty knife, or the butt end of the putty knife, and just press in around the outer edges of the damaged area, like so. And then feel around, make sure it's completely smooth. Then we take our spackle and just press it right in there, right into the middle, and work our way out. Make sure it gets filled in, and clean off around the edges. like so. And there's no doubt that when this dries it'll shrink back, but we can hit it another time before we put our first color coat on. And then once we've done a first color coat, we may have to do a final touch up to make sure it's perfectly smooth. So again, even though we're focusing on the MDF trim today, while we're working on these lower parts, these baseboards, it's a good idea to be vigilant for scratches and dings in the drywall, because when we're doing an inspection later, we may not notice these ones so low down. So now would be a perfect time to putty them. So you probably can't see the scratches and dings there, but from my vantage point you can, very much so. And so that probably highlights it a bit better. So as we work our way along, we can fill in any spots that we see as we go. Hey, so I just got home and I realized that I didn't put a conclusion on my video. So this is just some brief demonstrations on how to apply Spackle to our MDF trim and our drywall. And I hope you found it informative, and I'll be showing another video on how to sand the Spackle once it's dry so that it's ready for primer and paint. If you have questions or comments, go ahead and leave them on the channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. And remember, it's Craig the Muskoka Painter, helping you take the pain out of painting.